Okay, we're going to do the hands-on programming exercise for Chapter 3 today. Okay, so make sure you choose a Windows Forms application. We're going to change the name. I'm going to call this HoPE3, and I'm going to choose OK, and that's going to start my project. Okay, your book sales form is located on page 146 in your book. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make my form here bigger because I know I'm going to need more space. So I'm going to make this bigger, and I'm going to start by doing my controls. Okay, so the first thing I need is I need some group boxes. I need 3 group boxes. So I'm going to put those in here first. I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3 group boxes. Okay, in the first group box, I'm going to need 3 labels and 3 text boxes. So I'm going to go up to my labels, 2, 3 labels, and I need 3 text boxes. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I keep these in order when I move them. Okay, so this is text box 3, this is text box 2, and this is text box 1. And then I'm going to put the corresponding labels next to them. Okay, in the second group box, I need the same thing, 3 text boxes and 3 labels. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to do label, 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 and text box, text box, text box. And I'm just going to organize these. And these, they have organized a little bit different. They have these aligned right. So I'm going to go ahead and align those right. And then we're going to do our 3 labels. Okay, and then in our group box 3, we need 4 labels and 4 text boxes. So 1, 2, 3, 4 labels and 4 text boxes. And again, make sure you keep those in order. And that just makes it easier when you set up your code. Now my group box isn't big enough here. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger so that I have a little more space. Okay, and then I'm going to put my labels next to each of my boxes. Okay, now if you want to make sure that your alignment is equal, you can click on, for instance, the 3 text boxes. Okay, go under Format, choose Align. Okay, you can align your lefts or your centers. Okay, you can also make them the same size. You can change your horizontal spacing. This is left to right. Your vertical spacing, I'm going to make that equal. Okay, your labels, you're probably going to have to manually change because if you make those equal, they don't always line up with the boxes. But you can line up the boxes and the labels by selecting the label, holding the Shift button down, and selecting the text box. And then going back to your format and choosing the Align to align the lefts, the centers, the rights, the tops, the middles, or the bottoms. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and select these 3, holding down the Control button to select each one. I'm going to format my horizontal spacing. I'm going to make equal. And then I just want to make sure that my labels are all aligned correctly. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing down here. 3, 4, holding the Control key down. I'm going to go to my vertical spacing. I'm going to make equal. And I'm going to change up my labels. I'm making my labels align with the labels above. If you notice, the blue lines, you can see that they're lining up. Okay, so they're going to change a little bit once I start giving values to those. Okay, and then along the bottom we need 4 buttons. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go up here. I'm going to choose my buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these 4 buttons are going to go right here along the bottom. Button 4, button 3, button 2, button 1, and I'm going to go ahead and just make them so that they go along the whole space there. And then I'm going to select all of them. Okay, again, I'm going to go to my format. This time I'm going to use horizontal spacing. I'm going to make that equal, and I'm going to align my middles to make sure that they're all lined up. Okay, so now my form looks really nice. It's really important to make sure that everything looks nice and neat when you set things up. Okay, this box we're going to make a little bit bigger because this is going to be a title box. So we're just going to extend the size of that. Okay, and then we're going to start with our properties. Okay, we want to start with our form. Okay, so I'm going to go up here and I'm going to change the name of my form. Okay, my form is going to be book sale form. Book sale form. Okay, note I'm using camel case there. Okay, the capital letters for the beginning of each word. Okay, we need to go down and we need to change the text property. The text property is going to say R in R for reading and refreshment. Okay, and you see that changes up there. Oh, now look, my R is not lined up right. Always make sure you go back and look to see what it looks like. We don't have a space there, so we need to correct that before we move on to our next thing. Okay, for our next one is going to be label 1. Okay, that's going to be this label right here. And the text for our label 1 is going to be book sales. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and leave it label 1. According to this, they call it label 1. I'm going to call it sales label. Okay, I always name everything. Okay, so we want that to be sales label. And then we're going to change the font on that. So we're going to go down and we're going to find our font. Okay, and on this one, we want it to be bold 12 point. So we're going to choose bold and 12 point. Okay, if you don't like the Microsoft Sans Serif, you can, or Microsoft Sans Serif, you can go through and you can find a different font that you like. You know, maybe you like the Myriad Pro. That's a nice standard format. But you can go look through these and you can find, since this is for books, maybe you like this Book Antiqua. Okay. So you can do any one of those that you want. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to go to, next we're going to do group box 1. Okay, group box 1, the name, they keep it as group box 1. And we're going to go down here and we're going to change the text on that to just blank. Okay, so now it doesn't have a text box or a text up top. Okay, label 2, the text for label 2 is going to be quantity, and we're going to put that ampersand. Remember that ampersand is for the hotkeys. When they press the Alt plus the Q, it's going to make that work. So we're going to do and quantity, and I'm going to go ahead and change this to quantity label. Okay, now it doesn't tell you in your book to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, now, if you want to, notice we changed the book sales label to bold 12 point and Antiqua. If we want all of that to be the same, we can select book sales, quantity, and label 3. And at this point, it's going to give us all the properties that we can change at the same time. So if we want our fonts to match, we can go here. Go ahead and change that. Choose your book Antiqua, the bold, and the 12 point, and it's going to change all of those. Okay, so they're all going to match. What did I do wrong here? Label 1, book sales. Oh, I see what they did. This shouldn't be book sales like this. I did this wrong. We need a new label. Let's see, let me undo that. we need a new label. I messed this up. We're going to do a new label here, and this label is the one that's going to be book sales. Okay, so we're going to call this one, I'll call this one title label, and this one is going to be book sales. I was wondering why they wanted that to look so fancy. And we're going to change the font on that one. And I'm going to go ahead and use that book Antigua on this. Okay, bold 12 point. Okay, now on all these, if you want these all just to be normal, you can, this is Microsoft Sans Serif, and it's 8.25 point, so we can just select all those and put them back to normal. I'll change this back to Microsoft Sans Serif regular, and it's actually 8.25. Oops, 8.25. Oh, it's just going to make us do 8. That's fine. Okay, so now we have that, and now this one is going to be quantity. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change these two labels up so that I've already got it. Okay, now the second label is going to be title. Okay, so I'm going to call this one title label. Okay, even though they don't change them in the book, I always recommend that you change the names. Okay. Oh, because I called this one title label. That's why it can't be title label. So I'm going to have to call this one, I'll call this one book title label. And then we're going to change this to title, and we're going to put that ampersand to make it title. And on this one, we're going to make it price. And we're going to put that ampersand in front of the P. Okay, again, that makes it so that when you press the Alt, and then we're going to make this price. Okay, then, so that's label 1, label 2, label 3. Okay, next we're going to do our text boxes. Okay, so we're going to start with our quantity text box, and we're going to rename that quantity text box. Okay, and the text property on that is going to be blank. Okay, then we're going to do our title text box, and because I called this book title label, you could call this book title text box, but because we're going to be working with it in the code, and the code is already written in the book, we're going to just keep it. We're going to keep it consistent, so we'll call it title text box. Okay, and then on this next one, we're going to call this one price text box. And we don't change any of the other properties. Okay, now in our group box 2, we're going to click on that. Okay, the group box is going to keep the name group box 2, and we're just going to go down here and we're going to delete our text. Okay, then we're going to start on our next labels. Okay, so this label is going to be extended price, is going to be the text, extended price. Okay, and then again, I always like to name, even if it's a label, so I'm going to call this my extended price label. Okay, and then we're going to go to our text box, and this is going to be our extended price text box. Okay, this is going to be our extended price text box, and we're just going to leave the text blank. Okay, then we're going to move to our next one, our next label. Oh, sorry, we haven't finished this. We're going to make our read only. we're going to change this to true. Now, the reason that we're changing this to true, notice how it grays out that text box. This is not something that the user can put information in. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that read only to false so that the user doesn't think that they're supposed to be putting information into that box. If they try to put information into that box, it's not going to, the information is not going to go in there. Okay, the user, by changing it to read only, that makes it read only. Okay, and so we're going to do that so that the user doesn't get confused. Remember, this is about making things easier for the user. Okay, next we're going to change the text align on the box to right, which is going to align it to the right side of the box. Okay, for the next label, we're going to make this our 15% discount, and I'm just going to call this my discount label. And the text on that is going to be 15% discount. Okay, 15% discount. Then we're going to do the text box, and again, with these are all going to be read-only and right text align, so we can select all of those at the same time, and actually all of these are going to be read-only and right align too, so we might as well select all of these by holding down the Control key, and we go to our read-only, and we make that true, and we make our text align right. Okay, so now we've done it on all of those, so we don't have to go through individually and change each and every one of those. Okay, so this is going to be our discount text box. Okay, and then our next label is going to be discounted price. It's going to be our text. So we're going to put discounted price. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and call that my discounted price label. Okay, and then our text box is going to be our discounted price text box. Okay, now notice how this kind of flows over into that one. So what I'm going to do, since I already aligned these, I'm just going to pull these all just a little bit over to the right, and then I'm going to go into my format, align, and I'm going to align my lefts to make sure that they all line up nicely. Okay. Next, we're going to move down to the print button. Okay, and we're going to make this our print button. And we're going to go down here and we're going to change the text on it to print, and then we're going to put our ampersand in front of the F. Print form. Okay, and then we're going to do our next button. This is going to be our calculate button. So we're going to put calculate, and then in our, we're going to put calculate for the text, and we're going to put an ampersand on that one in front of the C. Okay, and in our name, we're going to call this the calculate button. Okay, and then the next one, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the third button. This is going to be our clear button. And we're going to go down here. And we're going to change the word on this to clear, and we're going to make the S, we're going to put clear ampersand sale. Okay. And then we're going to do button 4 is going to be our exit button. And so we're going to do exit, and we're going to put that ampersand in front of the X. The ampersand always goes in front of the X on exit, because that is standard and everybody expects it to be that way. So we're going to do the ampersand there on the exit. Okay, next we're going to do our group box 3. Okay, so we're going to name this our summary group box. And we're going to go down to the bottom and we're going to change the text to summary. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do our label. Okay, the text on the label is going to be total number of books. Okay, and I'll call this my total books label. Okay, and then we're going to go do our text box. And this is going to be our quantity sum text box. Okay, and we're going to leave the text blank, and then it's read only still. Okay, the next one is going to be total discount given. So I'll call this my total discount label. And we're going to go down and we're going to change our text to total discount given. Total discounts given. Okay, then we're going to do our next label. Oops, we have to do our text box too. Our text box is going to be our discount sum text box. Okay, then we'll do our next one. This is going to be total discounted amounts. I'll call this my discounted amounts label. Okay, and then we're going to go down here to the text. And we're going to change the text on this to total discounted amounts. Okay, and then we're going to do our text box. And our text box is going to be the discounted amount sum text box. Discounted amount sum text box. And then we're going to do our last label, which is going to be average discount. So I'll call this my average discount label. And then we're going to change our text to average discount. Okay, we're going to do our text box. And we're going to change this text box to average discount text box. Okay, now again, notice that my text here is kind of flowing into my text boxes, so we're just going to move those over so that they don't flow in, and then if you want to do your alignment, you can align your lefts. Okay, make sure that they all line up nicely. Okay, remember we want to keep this as neat as we possibly can. Okay, so this is what your box is going to look like when you're done. Okay, so then we need to start coding. Okay, so we're going to start coding by doing our calculate button. That's going to be the first one we're going to calculate. Okay, now we have to start, of course, with our comments. Okay, the project is going to be our chapter 3 hands-on. Okay, the date, and today is June 21st, 2010, and the description. is going to be this project inputs sales information for books. Okay, and then we're going to move to the next line. We need to do that apostrophe again, even though we're still typing about the same thing. Okay, it calculates the extended price and discount for, and we're going to move on to the next line again, a sale and maintains summary information for all sales. Okay, and then we're going to put uses variables, constants, calculations, error handling, and a message box to the user. Okay, we're going to go ahead and let's move this down to the next line. Okay, so we've got that all. Once we've got all that done, then we can start moving on. Oops, we need to, okay, well they have a folder, but we're not going to put the folder. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to do something called declare our module level variables and constants. So we're going to do that outside of this sub procedure, okay? So we want to be between the public class and before the private sub, okay? And we're going to put a little note that that's what we're doing. Declare module level variables and constants. Now, module level, what that means is that when you declare a variable inside a sub-procedure, like if I were to declare it here, it would be available only to that sub-procedure. So if I wanted to use that variable outside of this sub-procedure, I couldn't. I would have to actually pass the variable. By declaring it outside of the module, what I've done is or outside of the sub-procedure, what I've done is I've made it so that anything that I declare up here is going to be available to any of the sub-procedures that I write. Okay, so we're going to start with quantity sum integer, sale count integer, and we're going to do those as integer. Okay, you always have to say what you're declaring them as. Okay, you can name as many as you want in the same command, as long as they're all the same variable type, and as long as you separate each one by commas. Okay, and they all have to be on the same line. Now we're going to do another one. We're going to do private. Okay, that means private. What private means is that means it's only available inside this class. So if I tried to use these if I wrote a separate class, which you'll learn in VB2, if I wrote a separate class, you wouldn't be able to use these in another class because they're private, which means they're available only to this class. So we have discount sum decimal. Notice that I declare the type. Okay, this is a decimal. These are integers. Always declare the type when you're making your when you're naming your variables. Okay, make sure that you use the type in the name. Okay, so we have discounted price sum decimal as decimal. Okay, so those are both decimals. Then what we're doing is we're declaring a constant. Okay, a constant is not going to change during runtime. These are all variables. They can change during runtime. Okay, they'll have different values as you're running through the program. This constant will always have the same value through the whole program. You cannot change it. Notice that we use a different naming convention for constants. They're written in all caps, and each word is separated by an underscore. Okay, constant rate decimal as decimal is equal to 0.15, and we're going to put a D at the end. The D stands for decimal. Okay, so those are all of our module level I think that's it. We have quantity sum integer. Make sure you check your spelling. Quantity sum integer, sale count integer, discount sum decimal, and discounted price sum decimal. Okay, also these should be blue. If they're not blue, check your spelling. Okay, your spelling could be wrong if they're not blue. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our calculate button. Okay, actually I realized that I forgot something on my form here too. Don't forget, because we have a print form button. Okay, because we have a print form button, we need to add that print form module there. If we don't have that, we can't print. Okay, so make sure you go ahead and add that. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, oh, this is the calculate button. They did the print button first, but we'll go back and do that in a second. Okay, so what we're going to do first is this one, the calculate button, is going to calculate the price and discount. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to declare some procedure level. Okay, these variables are available only inside the procedure. Now notice we use dim, which means dimension. We use dim inside the procedure, and we use private up here. Okay, actually you don't even need that word private, but we put that there just to make it so that it's not available to the other modules. That's just a good coding habit to get into. So we're going to use dim inside the procedure. So we're going to do quantity integer as integer. Okay, and don't worry about that green line. That just means you haven't used it yet, but that's fine. As long as when we're done coding we don't have any green lines, we're fine. Okay, if you have a green line after you're done writing the whole program, that means that you have variables that you declared but didn't use. Okay, we have price decimal, extended price decimal, discount decimal. Okay, and now here I'm going to do this underscore. Remember that underscore lets us continue a line, because as soon as we press that enter key, that means that we're done with the line. Okay, that signals to the computer that that's the end of the line. But if we want to continue the line, we do that space underscore, and that lets us continue the line. Okay, so we have discount decimal, discounted price decimal, discounted price decimal, average discount decimal, and these are as decimal. Okay, so what we have here, now notice there's the green underlines under each of them, but that's because we haven't used them. Okay, so don't worry about that. Okay, don't worry about that for now. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do what's called a try catch. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to say try. Okay, which means try to do this, and notice I get this catch as catch X as exception. This means try to do this. If it doesn't work, if whatever you're trying to do throws an error, we're going to do whatever we put into this catch area here. Because we don't want the program just to quit working because the user does something silly like accidentally put the book title in for the number of books they're buying. Okay, we don't want that to happen. So what we're doing, this is called exception handling. Okay, an exception is another word for error. Okay, so if we throw an error, that's what it's called. If the program throws an error by using this try catch block, okay, by using this try catch block here, what we're doing is instead of having the program just quit and stop working and give the user some cryptic code as to why it's not working, what we do instead is we use this try catch block, we catch the error, and we tell the computer to do something very specific with it. So for instance, we'll tell the user, in this case, we'll tell the user to go back and try again. we'll tell the user what mistake they made, and we'll point them back to the right place so that they can fix their error and keep going without ending the program. So what we're going to do first, everything that a user puts into a text box is going to be text. You cannot calculate with text. It's impossible. You can't add text together. You can concatenate text, which means you can put text next to text to make longer sentences, but you can't add text together. So if you have a 10, which is stored as text, and you add it to a 10 that's stored as text, you get 10, 10, you don't get 20. So what we need to do is we need to convert these text variables into numeric values. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put a comment, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to convert quantity to numeric variable. And then what we're going to do is we're going to assign it first. We're going to assign it to quantity integer. There it comes up. Okay, there's my quantity integer there. There's the one that I want to use. So I'm just going to double click on it so I don't make a typing error. Okay, and I'm going to do equals. Now what I want is I want to turn it into an integer. So I'm going to tell it what I want to do. I want to make it into an integer. I'm going to do something called parsing. Okay, that's what you want to do. You want to parse. So we're going to integer.parse. That's the word that means change a text to a number. Okay, we parse it. Okay, and we're going to open up and we're going to tell it what we want it to parse. In this case, we want to parse the quantity text box. So we're just going to start typing that quantity. There's the quantity text box right there. Okay, and then we want to tell it what property we want it to parse. We want it to parse the text property. And notice that it highlights that because it assumes that's what we want to do because that makes sense. Okay, so we want to take the text property, so the user is going to type in a number, and what we're going to do is we're going to take that number, we're going to change it from text into a number, and we're going to assign it to this variable quantity integer. Okay, now if they put like a b in there, we can't turn a b into an integer, and so it's going to throw an exception. That's where that catch comes in. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do another try. Okay, so what we're doing is we're doing nested tries here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try to convert the price. Okay, so basically it says if quantity is successful. So if we were able to convert the quantity, it's going to go down here and it's going to do the next box. Otherwise, it's going to skip everything here and it's going to go to its catch. Okay, this try belongs with this catch. This try belongs with this catch. Okay, so if this doesn't work, it's going to go down and it's going to do what we're going to put down here. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to convert the price if it was successful. This time we want to add it to price decimal. Okay, so we're going to assign it to price decimal. Okay, and then we're going to do, since price decimal is a decimal, rather than doing integer parse, we're going to do a decimal parse. Okay, so we're going to put decimal.parse again. Okay, and then we need to tell it again what we want to parse. We want to parse the price text box. Okay, and then we want to parse the text property. Okay, so whatever number the user puts in, that's what we're going to try to parse. Okay, now, if that was successful, we're going to go on and we're going to do the next line. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the values for sale. Okay, so our first calculation is going to be, we're going to assign it to our extended price decimal. Okay, so we're going to use our extended price decimal. And we're going to do quantity integer times price decimal. So we're going to do quantity integer times price decimal. Okay? So that's going to be our first one. That's going to give us the extended price. Then we're going to calculate the discount. So we're going to do our discount decimal. Okay, we're going to calculate the discount. And what we want to do here is we want to round, because we don't want like some huge bizarre number. Okay, we don't want some huge bizarre number. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the round, the decimal dot round. So we're going to start by typing decimal, Okay, and this is just like round. If you've used Excel before, this is just like the round function in Excel. We're telling it to round. And then in the book, what they did is they went on to the next line because it's really a very long, it's a long calculation that they do. So they're going to start with the extended price decimal. Okay, so we're going to take the extended price decimal times the discount rate decimal, and that's our constant. Okay, that's our one that's always going to be 0.15. And then we're going to put 2. Okay, 2. That tells it that what we want to do is we want to multiply first our extended price decimal times our discount rate decimal, and then that 2 tells it how many digits we want to round to. We want to round to 2 digits. Okay, so that's what that's going to be right there. It's going to round to 2 digits. Okay, and then we're going to go to our next line. Now we're going to figure out our discounted price decimal. Okay, and this is going to equal our extended price decimal, okay, minus whatever we calculated up here for our discount decimal. Okay, so now we've got this formula to calculate the discounted price. Okay? So then after that we have to do our summary values. Remember on our form, okay, we have these, but then we have these summary values down here. Okay, so we're going to calculate those next. Okay, so we're going to calculate the summary values. Okay, so we're going to start with our quantity sum integer. Okay, now quantity sum integer, where is that? That's up here. Okay, so that's a module level. So that means that we can use that in a different procedure if we need it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do plus equals. Plus equals means add back to itself. Okay, so we're going to add back to itself quantity integer. Okay, so basically this is the same thing as saying quantity sum integer equals quantity sum integer plus quantity integer. Okay, the other reason that we declare this at the module level is because we don't want this to reset every time that it goes in here. We don't want it to reset to 0 because this is what's called a accumulator. Okay, what it does is it keeps a running total. Okay, if we declared quantity sum integer here, then every time we press the calculate button, it would reset to 0. So we wouldn't have a running total. So we have to put it up here, which means that it's only going to reset to 0 when we start the program again new. Okay, so that's another reason that you want to declare up top, is because you don't want it resetting each time. Okay, the next one we're going to do is our discount sum decimal. Discount sum decimal, which apparently I do not. Oh, there it is. Okay, so next we're going to do our discount sum decimal, and we're going to add that to itself with the discount decimal. Okay, so we have our discount decimal, our quantity sum integer. Next one we're going to do is our discounted price sum decimal. Okay, our discounted price sum decimal, and we're going to do plus equals again. That's just a shorthand way of saying add it back to itself, is going to be discounted price decimal. And I have to spell that right or it's not going to go right. Okay, so discounted price decimal. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do our sale count integer. Okay, so our sale count integer, and we're going to do plus equals 1. Okay, all that's going to do is it's just going to add 1 each time, so it's going to keep track of the number of sales that we have. Okay, it's going to keep track of the number of sales that we have. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to average. Okay, we're going to do our average discount decimal. Okay, our average discount decimal is equal to our discount sum decimal. Okay, that's our discount. Our discount sum decimal divided by our sale count integer. Okay, so our average discount decimal is that discount decimal divided by our sale count integer. The next thing that we have to do is we have to format these for display. Just like we can't do math on numbers, we also can't put numbers back into text boxes. So what we have to do is we have to do the calculation to determine whether or not, or what we have to do, not a calculation, what we have to do now is we need to convert these back into numbers that we can use. Okay, so what we've got is we're going to format and display answers for the sale. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our extended price text box. Okay, we're doing the text property. Okay, equals the extended price decimal. Okay, that's the one that we want to put in there, the extended price decimal. Okay, and we're going to use the toString. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to format this as currency. By using that C in parentheses, what we're going to do is we're going to format it to currency when it outputs. So when the user sees it, they're going to see it in a format they understand. Remember, this is about usability, so we have to format it in a form that the user can understand. Okay, so we're going to format that to currency. The C is for currency. Next, we're going to do our discount text box. Okay, so we're going to do our discount text box. Again, we're going to do the text property. It's going to equal our discount decimal. Okay, again, we're going to use that toString. This time, we're going to just use a number. Okay, so what that does is that formats it as a number with decimal places after it. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is our discounted price text box. Okay, our discounted price text box, oops, we have to put our .text. Make sure you do that. Okay, and then we're going to do our discount price decimal. Okay, discounted price decimal. Again, we're going to do toString, and this one we're going to do as currency. Okay, the next one we need to do is we need to format our summary values. Okay, so our summary values, we're going to start with our quantity sum text box. Okay, so there's a quantity sum text box. Again, we're changing our text property. It's going to equal our quantity sum integer. Okay, quantity sum integer, we need to do a toString, and then we're not going to define how that's output. Okay, the next one is going to be our discount sum text box. Okay, our discount sum text box. Again, we're going to use the text property because that's what we're assigning it to. This is called our assignment operator. It's not an equals, it's an assignment operator when we're assigning a value. And it's going to be our discounted price decimal. It's going to be our discounted price sum decimal. Oops, where am I? Discount sum text box dot text. Discount Now this is going to be our discount sum decimal. Okay, so make sure you've got it right. Discount sum decimal, toString, and we're going to output that as currency. Okay, so that's the format of our string. The next one is going to be our discount amount. Discounted amount sum text box. Okay, we're going to do our text property. And this one is going to equal our discounted price sum decimal. Discounted price sum decimal. And we're going to output this one as currency as well. Okay, then the last one is going to be our average discount text box. Going to do that text property. We're going to assign to it the average discount decimal. And we're going to do toString. And we're going to output that as currency. Okay, now notice here I have this blue underline. The reason is, if you look at it, you see I didn't do the toString. So I need to do my toString there, and that should take care of that line. Okay, whenever you see those errors, go in and figure out what the problem is and fix those. Okay, the next one we're going to do is we're going to do our price exception. Okay, that's this one right here. So we're converting our price decimal. So that's going to be our first catch. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to change this EX and we're going to give it a name. We're going to call it a price exception. And we're going to call it a format exception. Format exception means that they didn't type the right format into the box. So like if they type a B instead of a number, that means that they're not typing the right format because B is a text, is a character, and we're looking for a number. Okay, so it's going to be a format exception. And then what this is going to do is this is going to handle a price exception. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to use a message box. Okay, so we're going to do message box dot show. Okay, that means show a message box. That's that little pop-up box there. Okay, and the first thing that we need to put in there is the text. Okay, what text are you going to show in there? Okay, we're going to show that this is the message. Okay, this is the message that displays. So we're going to put price must be numeric. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is it says the caption as string. So this is what shows up in the title bar of the box. So we're going to put data entry error. Okay, that's the title bar of the box. Okay, then we're going to go on to the next line and we're going to put, now we get to do the message box buttons. Okay, this is the different types of buttons that are available. Okay, so we've got message box buttons. Okay, we have the message box buttons and we have our choices here. We have OK. Okay, we have abort, retry, ignore. So that's going to give you 3 buttons. One that says abort, one that says retry, one that says ignore. This one will have one that says OK. We'll have one that says OK and one that says cancel. This one says one that says retry, one that says cancel, one that says yes, one that says no, one that says yes, one that says no, one that says cancel. What we want is we just want the OK one. Okay, so it's just going to say OK. Then we get to choose our message box icon. So what picture displays? You can have an asterisk, you can have an error, you can have an exclamation, you can have a hand, you can have the information, you can have none, question, stop, or warning. We're going to put an exclamation, I believe. Yes, we're going to do the exclamation. Okay? The exclamation says that you've made a mistake, you need to go back and do something again. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to type with, and we're going to do the price text box. Okay, what the with does is that makes it so that I don't have to type price text box each time that I do something that changes. So what I want to do first is I want to change the focus. Okay, I'm going to change the focus. What that's going to do is it's going to move the cursor so that now it's in the price text box, because I want to highlight for the user the error that they made. So that's going to put it in the price text box. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all. Okay, by selecting all, that selects it. So now the user doesn't have to go in and they don't have to find the price text box where they made the mistake, and they don't have to highlight it in order to make the change. They can just retype the correct value. Okay, we're going to end with and end try at that point. Okay, next we have to catch our other exception. Okay, so this is the quantity. So we're going to change this and we're going to name it quantity exception. Okay, again, this is going to be a format exception because it's the wrong format. They put a letter instead of a number or whatever they did. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to type our note. We're going to handle a quantity exception. Okay, again, we're going to do our message box.show. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this line because I'm too lazy to type it over again. Okay, I'm going to put it in here. And instead of doing price must be numeric, I'm going to change this word price here. I'm going to change that to quantity. Okay, my quantity must be numeric. It's a data entry error. My message box button is okay, and my message box icon is exclamation. That's just so much easier. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. This is going to be exactly the same. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to put it down here. Except that this time I'm not going to do the price text box. I want to do this with the quantity text box. Okay, and then you need to, I'm getting this error. I just looked and looked to see what it is. So you check on this exclamation point. It says insert the missing, it says missing end with. So I can go ahead and just insert it. Now, of course, I put it in the wrong place. So what I want to do is I want to insert an end with afterwards. Okay, so your with has to have an end with. Okay, so that's what that error was. Okay, so then end try and end sub. All right, now we're done with our calculate button. I'm going to go ahead and do the print button because I forgot to do that in the beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and do my print button. Okay, print buttons are easy. We're just going to do the print form. Okay, this is the print form 1. Okay, you're going to choose the print action. Okay, and then it equals, and we're going to choose the, we want to print to preview. Okay, because we want that little pop-up box to show up. Okay, and then we're going to do the print form 1 again. And we're going to print. Okay, and that gets the parentheses after it. Okay, so that was the print button. So now we've got that one done. And the next one we're going to do is we're going to do the clear button. Okay, the clear sale. Now, we don't want to clear everything on this. Okay, we just want to clear some of the stuff. Remember, because we want this summary information to stay as we're working through all the other stuff. So all we want to do is clear these 6 boxes up top. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put our comment. We're going to clear previous amounts from the form. Okay, and then what we're going to do, again, we don't want to do all of them. We just want to do the title text box. Okay, we want to do the title text box, and we're going to do dot clear. Okay, and then we're going to do the price text box, and again we're going to do dot clear. We're going to clear the extended price text box, and we're going to clear that. Okay, we're going to do the discount text box. Okay, we're going to do the discount text box. We're going to clear it. We're going to do the discounted price. Discounted price text box. We're going to clear that. And we're going to do the quantity text box. And again, we're going to do with the quantity text box. And the reason why is because what we're going to do is we're going to clear it. Okay, and we want to reset our focus there so that what's going to happen is that now the user, the form is automatically ready to start filling out again. So we're going to go ahead and reset our focus. Now up here, the reason that we focused and select all, the reason we didn't clear up here is because we wanted to show the user what the error was that they made. Okay, we want to show the user what the error is. So we don't clear it, we select it. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do our exit button. Okay, and this exits the project. And we're just going to do me.close. Okay, and once you're done with that, you should be ready to run it and see how it works. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to press that play button up top. We're going to type in a quantity, we're going to type in a title, it doesn't matter, and we're going to type in a price, and we're going to calculate. And it calculates a value for us. Okay, so now let's test our errors. Let's put an R in there, okay, and see what happens. We can put our title, and we can put a number, and we'll calculate. It gives us an error. Quantity must be numeric, so we know that that works. So we're going to click OK and see what happens. See, now it focuses there, and it highlights that error. So now we can change it. Okay, we need to test this one too because we also put an error handling in there. So we're going to go ahead and calculate, see what happens. It tells us the price must be numeric. So we're going to choose OK, and it selects it, and it puts us back in that box. Okay, so then we can do our calculate, and we can see that it's accumulating down here because now we have 11 instead of 1. It adds the discounts, gives us the amount of the total discounts given, and it averages our discounts. Okay, when we clear our sale, we see it clears here, 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 and here, but it leaves these numbers intact. Okay, we need to try the print form, make sure that it works, and then we can test our exit button and make sure it works. Once you've tested your whole program and you find that it works, you can go ahead and save it. Okay, we save it by choosing Save All. Save it. Make sure you note where you saved it at. Visual Studio 2010 Projects, because that's where you're going to have to turn it in from. And go ahead and save. And that's it. You're done.